Okay. Hello. My name is, actually, why am I introducing myself? Welcome to my Q&A. I took some questions from Instagram and I posted on my story asking people to ask me questions for Q&A specifically. I've had it previously done, but a few people who knew me personally, they didn't take it very seriously, and there's not much I could put on the internet with that information. But without further ado, we get into the first question, which comes from Brendan. Which is better, pull downs or pull ups? Honestly, I feel like they all have their own place. Personally, I can go either or, just because with pull ups, I feel like when I get really heavy, pull ups don't feel so great warming up on it, because it's like you're starting essentially with what I would do for a pull down. So they are really good for assisted pull-ups if you need that, but honestly, I'm advanced enough where, even at like 230 I could do 10 pull-ups, which is really hard to load, especially with weight. I find that I'm able to get a really good workout by just doing pull-ups with no weight, but the moment I add weight to it, like a dumbbell or a plate, I become a lot more unstable because it's not connected to my body. So I tend to use more momentum, and I can feel that all the way from like 5 pounds up. It's a lot harder. I would just recommend, especially for people who are trying to perform a pull-up, assisted pull-ups are great, but honestly, lat pull-downs are so much more accessible, and you find them more in gyms from what I see, that you can progress, and of course, keeping consistent form and training properly, you can learn how to get a pull-up done, because the only difference is that your legs are tied down, and the machine's moving for you versus you moving for the machine. So personal preference, I prefer lat pull down. I can make it move in so many different variables, and I feel like the progression is a lot easier, unless you have that assisted pull-up machine. All right, so the next one is, how do you manage, the next question comes from Parched Ocean, Desmond. How do you manage to get enough food down for a bulk? So I bulked in years past. I actually bulked this past winter. I've always had a huge appetite, even when I tried to stay leaner and a lighter weight for a long time. I could shovel down calories very easily. I've always had a large appetite. When it comes to diet advice and getting calories in, I always am a big proponent of liquid calories, especially intra workout. If you haven't tried that, just getting simple carbs, sugar, even during your workout is the easiest way to add in carbs and also enhance physical performance, especially on a bulk, because you can knock out an extra 100, 200 calories while you're there, while also keeping your blood sugar more steady. So I just get like Gatorade mix, and I'll mix it into a very large water bottle so that it's easier to consume. Now, it's better to do this versus a smaller water bottle, because it's either you're gonna have to dilute it and it doesn't taste as good, like waiting halfway through it and then filling up water over and over again. Usually just get like a gallon jug, empty milk gallon jug, or you could just buy, Amazon sells this like 2 gallon or 2 liter like large water bottle that most supplement companies upcharge $40 for, but you could get it for 20. I'll put in a picture, but liquid, So shake, like I was having, I would tell Holden I would have my bloat shakes. That's another piece of advice for bulking. I would blend food because it would not. I didn't get as far as doing like chicken and stuff like that. I know a lot of bodybuilders have done that, but I would just have like a big shake at the end of the night. It was really easy to get down. Sugars, of course, only from like fruit, so it wasn't like super aggressive right before bed, but a few hours out, a couple servings of fruit, of course, peanut butter. Alternatives to this is literally putting in, also like protein powder, keeping it high calories, so you do want to add fats. You can place it in a different part of the day, and of course add sugars like chocolate sauce and stuff like that. But I would do oats, like 2 or probably a cup dry, couple cups of frozen fruit, shit ton of peanut butter, a few servings, and that would go down so easily, and like it would fill out my stomach because it is a lot more effective for liquid fits in your stomach a lot easier than solid food does, so you're able to consume a lot more calories, which would segue me into my next point, which is oil. Oil is a big proponent of high calories. It's high in fat, so making sure you cook with oil or even adding it in. I would have since I'm in college, budget meals, chicken and rice, literally. I would just drizzle olive oil or canola oil or any sort of oil, because I would add extra fats. High fat foods, if you're struggling to get your calories in, you want those calorically dense foods. Less lean meat is often cheaper, so you can supplement with that. Oils are good, as I said. Tree nuts in general. Milk is another thing. During the bulk, I would eat like protein cereal before the gym, so it was like Cinnamon Toast Crunch, milk, and then I'd put protein powder in it, and that definitely was another hack. And then the next question also comes from Desmond. It says, what is your experience cutting healthy versus unhealthy? How are the results different? Honestly, since I started taking fitness seriously, I've never had an unhealthy cut. For a while, when I was about 15 or 16, I struggled with eating enough, and I often was malnourished, and it brought on some health issues during developmental years, so I would limit myself to a few hundred calories a day. And my body, people will often say starvation mode, and it's often, it's a spectrum, but it's not gonna make you hold on to a lot of nutrients. But starvation mode is actually what your body adapts its metabolism to consuming lesser calories. So when you're in an extended cut, people will often say, like, if I eat a burger, I gain all the weight. It is like that. If you're in an extended cut for a long period of time, your body makes sure to move at the most efficient way possible. That's why you'll see people cut for a while, and then you no longer start losing weight because your body has adapted. Lower heart rate, lower body weight. RER is depleted. Comparatively, it's lower, so your body expends less energy throughout the day and thus requires less. So it's able to always maintain homeostasis. So back then, I wouldn't eat a lot, and I was probably 5'9", 120 pounds, which is pretty underweight, and I was trying to do some like at-home workouts and of course build some muscle so I looked fit. But when your body's barely getting enough nutrients as is, you're not really going to progress. So I didn't really get muscular, and I just kind of stayed small. So a healthy cutting experience, of course, is like really calculated. People go on these cuts and bulks, and they'll get overwhelmed with these like regimen plans, but I kind of think of it like, why not just get your cut over with in 3 months and be really strict, versus spending 3/4 of the year to get worse results. Like if you can just, get yourself to a body composition where you're happy, and then, you just have to maintain. So if you wanted to take a cheat meal, you just, take the calories out where necessary. It's so much easier. And yeah, it's a little hellish, but you get over it when your body adapts a couple weeks into it. So I'm on prep right now for a bodybuilding competition. I haven't had any outside food from my diet plan in 4 months. And honestly, I've gotten to a point where I no longer crave certain things because it's just been that long. And it's definitely regimented. I feel like people cope and often find the excuse of saying like, hey, this is healthy because this, like what I'm saying could seem like I'm just blowing it off because it affects people differently, Luckily, I'm fortunate enough to, I still have some mental things that affect me, but it's goals, and I make sure not to take it to an unhealthy part, but you kind of have to be uncomfortable sometimes. So as long as I'm able to function as a person, treat people right, which I hope to do as I get hangry all the time, and just keep going, keep working at it, and reach my goals. But back to cutting. Just be smart, ask a lot of questions. As I said, you should work hard at it for a short period of time versus half-ass it for quadruple. But it's a linear process, but this line needs to be zoomed out over months or years, not once a week, because my body composition can't reflect always what my weight on the scale is. And some days I can weigh 5 pounds more and look, pretty lean. Other days I could weigh the least I ever had and look the worst. But what really matters is that you're trying. So keep that going, I guess. Next question. Real question. This comes from Jess. How do you season your food? So I would buy blends. I buy blends when I go there. There's like, I forget, but like Costco has one. But I'll usually just buy blends because, people often say like you don't season your stuff, and I honestly do. But before I did, I would just like smack some sauce on it. But now that I can't really use sauce, like I'll use like a steak seasoning, or it's like butter garlic, like all those different cool blends. It's like the Yellowstone whatever. I know you can make your own, but it's like sometimes it's like almost worth the money that you're paying, because I like to switch up the flavors every so often. But now I'm trying to just get rid of my spice cabinet because I have so much. But typically I would marinate it. I love marinating in even just like barbecue. Like I would just put like a habanero blend and then put like the Sweet Baby Ray's in a bag and leave it overnight, and it was just like so juicy. Another is marinating in the G. Hughes Polynesian sauce, which is a dipping sauce, but honestly I like it better than his. I like using sauces more than I like marinades, just because usually for the calories you're able to put a lot more because they're less dense. So I can put like a full bottle in for 170 calories versus a full bottle of marinade, which of course tastes better, but they have oil in it. It's a lot, more calories. So I'd rather just, keep the flavor in it. And of course, like sauce kind of stays and cooks in and stays through the meal prep when I bundle it. This question comes from my sister. How do you eat gruel without yakking? For those who don't know, my gruel bowl, which is my cream of rice bowl, people would often ask me, what is this gruel? What are you talking about? It's ground up rice, protein powder, and some fruit. When you mix it all together, there's no consistency. It's like oatmeal with protein powder and whatever, but like imagine the oats are decimated it to look like sand. So often it just looks like a gross pudding almost. And sometimes I put like the vanilla pudding Jello thing, the zero sugar one, and it turns like a highlighter yellow, so it looks like gross. But I love it, honestly, because it's like, you know, you really have to choose, especially being on a budget. It's like you kind of have to choose. Like, eating out's not really an option, because if I eat out, then I can't really get all the necessary food I need to get into throughout the day, because it's more expensive, of course. Like, you know, a day's worth of food is like the same price as a quarter to a half of a Chipotle bowl. So it's like, you know, if I buy both, it's like I can have chicken at home, you know, might as well. It's gonna be 5 times more and much better. So I remember when I first did a prep in 2023, my coach actually had me eat the gruel, and I kept having it, and honestly, it's been my pre-workout meal ever since, just because it adds a different meal in the day, you know. I can eat chicken and rice every single meal. I don't really mind, because it bang for buck, it is what it is. Like, I'll have a steak, I'll have ground beef and stuff like that, but it's like, then I only eat 2 chicken and rice meals if I'm eating 5 or 6 meals a day. Instead, I'll only eat, you know, 5 versus 2, you know, which is better. But honestly, it's not bad. It's like porridge, you know. It's easy to get down. And I like eating significant food right before the gym, because I hate, like, I would rather like kind of overeat before the gym, before going, just because by the time I eat, get ready, go to the gym, it's like already an hour. So it's not like I'm eating way too close. I like to train in the afternoon, so I always get my carbs in enough, and just in case some shit happens, like, I don't want to get hungry midway through. So the gruel's always been, it's the same thing, circling back to the shake. Gets down easy, digests quick, and honestly, it just tastes however the protein powder tastes, because the rice has 0 flavor. So, and the last question comes from Piper, which is pickle de gallo bulk meal deals. When Piper said this for the first time, pickle de gallo is pico de gallo, but you have pickles in it, and I thought he was trolling me, but turns out it's real. So with that, honestly, I feel like a chip, you know. I like getting those big corn salted chips, like the legit ones that come in like the paper bag. I feel like it would be a good dip for that. Another, you could probably, since it's basically diced, it would be good on like a sub, like definitely a more sodium heavy sub, which I love DiBella's so much. I love subs. Like, it's like, what the hell, man. But something on that, like, you know, some sausage, or, you know, salami, or whatever Italian thing, I think it would go great with that, and some oil, or just like a sandwich, a deli sandwich. You could also make like a mass gainer shake. So like, you get mass gainer, and they're like 1,000 calories a serving. It's like 4 scoops or whatever. And then just pour like half a cup of olive oil in there, a couple bananas, and then the pickle de gallo on top, and then just a couple shakes of salt. And I feel like that would be a good bulking hack, honestly, if you like pickle de gallo. If you don't, then I don't think it's for you, but I would like it, specifically with the strawberry shortcake flavored whey protein. So yeah, well, those were all the questions. So I'm gonna go. Comment down below your favorite video game And if you don't have one and couldn't think of one in the first 5 seconds of me asking that question, comment how many times you laughed during this video. But if you haven't typed that out yet, you have to respond with your favorite breakfast item and or next video idea. Spam the comments. It could be anything. Like it. Share it to send this video to your favorite relative. If you didn't receive it, they don't love you. Your relatives don't love you. I'm gonna go eat food and go on my old man walk.